have buildings inside their buildings with their own kind of buildings. Some are with books, some are with decorations, and maybe majority people are building with the clothes, because lots of people likes to buy clothes and then they just never really use it anymore. So it's like an eye opening for me, and then I'm started to do this starting from my room. So I'm in the middle of a mess as well. In my rooms is like lots of books, and then lots of clothes that I realized, oh, I never use it again, so maybe I have to donate it to someone.
I have a question for you, DS. We are going to start in 12:45. 12:45. I have a question for DS. Because you are a stewardess, right?
I don't know. I don't think so, because it's been 6 months not flying, and I asked them to transfer me to other department, but then they are still listing everyone who wants to move
My
department.
question is, it's unusual for people in your profession to love books. How can you love to read?
Uh, really? Lots of my colleagues love books too, but then maybe they just don't have the courage, or maybe they don't want to be in a discussion because of all the schedules, and then it's very hard for us to maintain the same schedule, because it's not every Saturday we will have day off, or every weekend we will have day off, something like that. The first is the schedule problem, and then the second, maybe they find it very difficult to keep on reading even after long flights. So, but for me, because my parents are they do read a lot, and then my sister also reads a lot. So um I kind of copy what they're doing, and then I do it by myself. Oh, there. Judging the airline industry, yeah. But lots of my colleagues also, they love to read, but they just, I don't think they ever been to this kind of book discussion.
Because DS once told me that in a training, your instructor, I think, like, say, why do you read a book while during training, something like that. You
Yeah.
once told me. Yeah, so that's why I said,
Under
not
the
many people in your
manual,
industry.
she caught me, I read other book.
I mean,
Because the book is not the manual book is really as thick as a box shoe. So, and then I mean, it's very boring. I get bored just like by flipping 2 pages, and then so I have to keep myself up. So then I sneak other book inside that book, something like that.
okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to start now. So I will share a slide. All right, welcome to Book Brewers, our meeting on December 12th, 2020. This is our, oh, sorry, um, not supposed to, yeah. This is our motto, cultivating the passion for lifelong learning. So we want to cultivate the passion for more and more people for lifelong learning. Just as a side note, I just read, I think, The Future of Jobs from report from World Economic Forum, and it also emphasized the importance of lifelong learning. So I think we are on the right path here. And because it's now the last meeting in 2020, we will also have some time to share our favorite book this year. In particular, for everyone, we can share the title of the book that we read and what it's about, and then why did you decide to read the book. There has to be a reason, and I think the reason can also motivate us if we find ourselves in a similar situation. Maybe if we find someone else with the same reason, we have the motivation to also read that book. And then what are your key takeaways from the book? Something that we can also learn from each other. And is there a question that you'd like to discuss Maybe there is an interesting idea in the book and you'd like to get the opinion from the rest of the group. So please feel free to share that question and everyone else can then give their opinion. And lastly, again, because this is the last meeting of this year, what is your favorite book this year and why? All right, so because Matt only have 1 hour with us, we can start with Matt. All right, so yeah, maybe, would you like to
Thanks,
start, Matt?
Yeah, so I could actually probably stay a little bit longer, but yeah, since I might have to drop out sooner, thank you very much for allowing me to talk first. So, yeah, so you want me to share about like the book that we talked about in the WhatsApp group, right?
Yes.
And then share about my favorite book as well.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, I mean, I've read a whole lot of books this year. I think as of right now, it's 63, but I'll probably finish a few more before the end of the year. So it might be like 66. A lot of them were great. Some of them were okay. Some of them were bad. Although there's not really such a thing as a bad book, it just wasn't as good as the others. So anyway, the book that I want to share about today a little bit is called How We Learn. I hate this cover, by the way. There's another cover that's very colorful, which I think maybe people has seen me share in my Facebook group. But yeah, the cover is not so good. Anyway, the cover is not what counts. It's about the science, the new science of education and the brain. So it really digs deeply into how we learn, hence the title of the book. And there's this really cool concept in the book called the 4 pillars of learning. If you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen because I created a Instagram post about that. So I'm going to share my screen. Just to give you a visual. So here we go. So the 4 pillars of learning. You can see from the text here, number 1 is attention. What are you reading, learning, and retaining? Active engagement. What are you applying from the information you've learned? Now, these questions right here are actually questions that I have personally asked. It wasn't in the book directly. So these are my own interpretations of these rules. There's number 3, error feedback. Reflect and ask yourself, what went wrong and what went well? Double down on what went well, kind of using some of the rules that I learned from the 80-20 principle and essentialism. So we want to double down on what's going well in our life. And then consolidation, make the best of the things that went very well and ingrain it, make it a habit, make it automatic, basically, and optimize your success and minimize your failures. So here's the first slide, attention. It amplifies the information we focus on. Number 2, active engagement. Get out there and experiment. Experiment on what you're learning. That's most important, or not most, but very important. Error feedback, reflect and adjust. What went wrong? What went well? And 4, what works becomes a habit. So there's that aspect right there. I'll stop sharing. I feel like those 4 pillars were amazing. Like just that in itself, learning that from the book is, yeah, it's a really good skill to have. And it does talk about like a lot of the brain stages, like for kids when they're born. It talks about the peak ages of learning, like language learning or maths. It talks about how our synapses grow. When we're a little kid, there's so many synapses in our brain. And then when we get to a certain age, our brain naturally cuts off a lot of those synapses. So the peak learning is like up until 7, actually up until like teenager years, really. And there's one more thing that I want to share. one more thing that I want to share. So let's go back to Instagram real quick. It's called How Our Brain Recycles Information. So let me go here. Where is that at? This one, right here. So this is directly from the book, How Your Brain Recycles Information. To educate oneself, it is to recycle one's existing brain circuits. Recycling happens when our brain uses material again by reintroducing it into a novel productive cycle. That's what innovation comes from, right? 2 ideas or 3 ideas coming together and making a whole brand new one. Idea synthesis. And recycling means you can adapt to almost any unexpected change in one's career. So if you're continuing learning, lifelong learning, you can pretty much adapt to anything, right? And then also it optimizes it with new information and experience. And then you can become yourself, an optimized human being with limitless potential. So yeah, those are the main things that I want to share about this book. The book has a whole lot more to it, but I would say those are the biggest principles that we can take away, in my opinion. Any questions about that?
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, any question? If not, I will have a question.
A
Have
question.
others? Yeah.
So, Matt, that means if we want to strengthen our learning, we somehow have to repeat the things we have learned in the past, right?
Yeah.
So somehow bring it back to our current context, is it?
Yeah. So, you know, we are full of experiences since the day we were born. So we can take what we've learned, we can take what we have become good at, and we can also apply it in different areas of our life. Like, you are a good debater. You are also a good public speaker, right? You've taken those 2 skills and put them into action. Me, I've been teaching for 10 years. I also have applied that in my social media presence. So I've grown my social media presence through trying to teach people through what I've learned. So yeah, recycling and also just taking 2 bits of different information and combining them into one unique idea is another thing we can do. Yes, idea synthesis.
So in my opinion, that would be in contradictory with the practice of a lot of educational institutions. A lot of educational institutions once they done learning about chapter A, and then it's just done. Next one, next one, next one. So you never have a chance to actually revisit what we learned, say last year or 2 years ago. So I think if we want to put this principle in practice about how we learn, we should be able to do that at least in school settings.
Right? Yeah. The school system is really quite stuck, I think. So yeah, being able to open it up like that and be able to connect the ideas from the past with the present can really be good. And there's another aspect of the book that mentions about the learning system where they basically let the kids like roam free and experiment with anything. And the book is saying that that's actually bad because they have no direction to learn. Like, it's actually better to have a whole balance between exploration and guidance. Grit. Yeah, a whole balance between exploration and guidance, because if you let the kids roam free, they're not really learning anything. Same for us. If we're just roaming free and we're not really purposefully learning, if we're not being guided by something, we even as adults, right, we need to have some sort of direction and purpose in what we're learning, building up our expertise, building up our hobbies, whatever it may be. Yeah, any other ideas, thoughts?
I have a question. How would you connect that idea with deliberate practice?
How would I connect that idea with deliberate practice?
Yeah,
Well,
because I think for me, one of the most famous concept for learning is deliberate practice.
yeah, deliberate practice.
Yeah. So can you connect the concept with deliberate practice?
That actually, deliberate practice wasn't necessarily in the book. That's just an idea that we've learned about before, like all of us in this group in Grit, I think it was, and also another other couple books that I've read. So, and that's the whole thing, idea synthesis, right? It's like putting these two things together. The book may not mention that, but that's what I've determined myself in order to actually, maybe it does mention it about purposeful practice, but yeah, as far as I remember, if we want to get better at anything, we need to do deliberate practice or purposeful practice every single day. 1% improvements, as in Atomic Habits, which we read last year. So yeah, definitely. Hope that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Any question from the others before I ask Matt about his favorite book in 2020?
No, I just reminded of the course from Coursera that I did few months ago. It's called Learning How to Learn. And then I think it reminds me of that course when Matt shares his book. So then I need to revisit the course because I really need to relearn about how to learn in order to learn better. So it's a learn vocab in simultaneously. Thank you, Matt, for sharing.
Definitely.
So maybe you could share what is your favorite book in 2020 and why?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Yeah, tough question. I know, especially for you.
So many books, so many books. Well,
Among 60 something,
you know,
you have to choose one.
I would have to say that one book that I'm always going to revisit, and I'm actually still not quite done with it. You guys probably remember me reading it earlier this year. Is this one right here, Laws of Human Nature. I've just got like 40 pages left, so I'm like literally almost done with the book. But it's been so impactful for me because it's got everything from how to deal with people that are just like assholes, basically, or or how to become a leader. Like, I mean, it's packed full. Robert Greene did 20 years worth of like research with this book. So I might as well put in the time and effort into it and study it like crazy because it is such an amazing book that you can revisit, apply, reflect, dissect, research even more. I mean, there's lots of great book recommendations in it. So I'm going to be using this book as kind of like my my holy book. Really, it is amazing.
Holy Grail.
Yeah, it's the holy grail of human nature. You wanna understand yourself, you wanna understand other people around you, read the book, apply the principles. Yeah, that's what the book is for sure.
Okay, great recommendation. Thank you, Matt. Welcome, Rizka.
Thank you.
Rizka just joined us.
Hi. Sorry, I'm late. I forgot.
Anyone here need to leave early? No? Okay. So maybe next, Diaz, would you like to share?
Okay, so the book that I read is this 2020 Vision because I think it's the best time to reflect because it's end of this year 2020, and I discovered the book because I did my KonMari stuff, of my late father's stuff. And then I discovered that he read this book back in 1994, 95. And then I just wanted to make sure whether the author really predicts what happened now back in that year. So then when I read it, I discovered that so many things that we are enjoying right now, it was mentioned in this book. So things like smart toilet, the infrastructure, because the infrastructure is not, it's still important, but the infrastructure, it's what makes us can have that much of information that we are currently have right now. Because when we see the social media, we see the YouTube, internet, everything, we can read most of the important things, and that is what he mentioned here is infrastructure. And then he mentioned as well about the bandwidth. Back in years, I don't really understand what bandwidth means until I put the Wi-Fi in the home. So then I read about it, and then he says that bandwidth with infinite connections will be available in starting in 2020. So it's true. And then the computerized systems, for most of the things we encountered in life, will be so accessible that will make us forget how to do things in manual again. So it's really true. If we take a look at, for example, in the cashier, they don't do manual writings, just like back in the years. When I was little, when my mom sent me to, can you buy something from the grocery, and then the warung said, what did you buy? Oh, sugar. This is 2,000 rupiah. And then she wrote it down, and then manually, and then we do know what's the total amount. But nowadays, it's very rare to find that thing anymore, because everything is going through the computerized systems. And then the artificial intelligence also mentioned here, and sooner or later it will replace us all. That's what the book says. Then I haven't browsed again about this, about the author, whether he makes another book. I'm guessing if he makes like 2030 and or 2050, then maybe he will make the right predictions again. So I'm really curious about that. So the thing that I want to share is that the what we really need to do right now is, because we lost human touch, especially in this pandemic in this pandemic era. So we need to learn as much as possible. Hello, sorry. Is
No,
that
Mike didn't mean that.
Oh, sorry. I I heard only few voices. Um, we need to learn as much as possible so that we won't be replaced by the artificial intelligence. That's what I can grasp from the book. I think that's it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So I think it connects with what Matt just shared about the importance of learning and how we learn. And this one is the emphasis is not to be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Yes, the artificial intelligence.
I have a question.
Yeah. Okay, maybe go ahead.
So, Diaz, do you think this book makes you believe that the future is predictable instead of unpredictable?
According to this book, and because I read it really in the present, according to the 2020 vision, I can say that 99% is true, except the Bitcoin that he mentioned here. The Bitcoin, he said that the Bitcoin will replace the money. I don't know about the usage of Bitcoin outside Indonesia, but in Indonesia, it's not really popular yet. So I don't think it will really replace our currency like rupiah or maybe US dollar or Singapore dollar. It's not, but maybe it will be the future money. And I heard about bitcoins is only for online gaming or something. I heard about bitcoin because when you want to buy or you want to play some kind of games that you need money to buy it, you need money to play it, then you use the bitcoin. But I don't think it will really replace the our rupiah. Please don't. Otherwise it will be very scary that
Did
we
the
cannot find any amount a value of rupiah anymore.
did the writer imply by Bitcoin he meant it was cashless transaction?
The cashless transaction, yes, he mentioned it as well, but the bitcoin that he mentioned is what do you call the same. It's like a, I don't know, the persamaan, the
Equivalent.
something that really equivalent to money. So I'm not really sure about the idea, but the other ideas like the smart toilets and the infrastructure and especially the artificial intelligence is very relatable in this 2020. So I'm really amazed, but by how he can predict
Accurate, yeah?
everything very for me it's very accurate. I mean, missing something, it doesn't mean that he's wrong. It's maybe because just maybe because he has other vision. So yep, this is very I mean, it's an eye opening for me, and I wish I can read this back when I was like in elementary school, but no. this is this is the book from 1992, I guess. And I'm very happy to find this one in a very good condition because of the bookshelves. Yep. Okay, that's anything else, guys?
The best
Yeah,
book of
so
the
I
year.
have a question for you. Sorry, Pipit. We just started talking at the same time. Yeah. I recently read this book called The Simulation Hypothesis by Rizwan Virk. It's basically about whether we are living in a simulation or not. And well, you can't really tell if you're living in a simulation if you're in a simulation, right? But anyway, it was talking about the technology advancements. It was also talking about AI, and it was saying that we are very far from having an AI that can basically like control us or basically replace our jobs. Although I would say that some jobs can be replaced. Does he mention about which specific jobs will be replaced by AI and technology?
He doesn't really mention about the particular industry that will be replaced by the AI, but then he mentioned that the AI will be slowly replaced. So then I I was a bit shocked when I read these particular sentences, and then I reminded of the airline industry that I just lost lots of my friends, lots of my colleagues in the airlines industry, and especially the one in the ground staff area, the one in the airports. If you notice that in Air Asia, they don't nowadays they only have like one or two staff that will be in touch with the passenger. Others, they can go right away from their tickets. They can just scan the barcode, and then they can get the baggage. They can get the baggage tag, the luggage tag, and then put it by themselves, and then they can proceed to the next step of going to the airplane. So um, if you go, but if you are the passenger, it is probably you will only see human when you are in the airplane, inside the airplane, because you won't see anyone except the aviation security. Other than that, it will be all replaced by the technology. So I don't know about the other industry, but that's what I discover, that's what I see, that's what I learn. And it's an eye opening for me.
Isn't it true that most pilots do nothing?
I
They hold the steering wheel, take off,
I'm
and
not
they hold
supposed
the
to say
steering
this,
wheel
but it's true.
landing. The rest is autopilot.
Oh
This
my.
is recorded.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm not supposed to say this, but it's
But it's
true
scary.
because
true.
it's true.
It's true. I mean, the scary thing is it's been true for a long time.
Yeah.
This is not new invention. Yeah.
Mhm.
And we don't see it. Yeah. We don't see what goes on in the cockpit. But I think personally, I think the biggest change in our lifetime is going to be in the next couple of years. Yeah, I think because of COVID and the pandemic and the problem of putting people into certain areas, yeah, they will be automated. Yeah, I mean, from my background in HR 20 years ago, yeah, I was reading 50% of employees were already redundant.
Mm.
They could have been replaced by computers 20 years ago. And it was just not politically acceptable to do that. But from a accuracy point of view, from a financial point of view, it made a lot of sense.
Mm.
And that is, I mean, that is in a way in a way it's scary, but I don't get scared by it because I can see other uses of those hours people are not spending at work. I mean, I really think 3-day work week should
Will
be
be
everybody. Yeah, I mean, maybe you work 10 hours, 3 days a week or whatever, but it gives you extra time to do things like 1 day compulsory lifelong learning. Yeah, I don't think it matters what job you're doing. Yeah, even low-level jobs, you need to be upskilled all of the time, continuously. Yeah, you cannot rely on a degree and then expect that to last you 50 years in your career. So you're going to have to upgrade all of the time. So, put a time, aside time and have online learning.
Mhm.
And it's already there, again, already there. I mean, you can do so many short
So many
courses with
things.
universities in the UK for free. Yeah, you do a 2-week to 8-week, 12-week course, only 2 hours a week, but you can do it all in one go if you want. Yeah, and it's free. If you want a certificate, you pay some money, but you don't need to pay anything. So you've got all of these little nibbles of learning already available, and they're right across the board. Yeah, I mean, I was on some Shakespeare training a while ago with one of the Open University courses. Yeah, and my background is science. I mean, this is totally new, new to me. But I think the world has, already changed. We just don't know it. Yeah, I think a lot of businesses are already dead. Yeah, I think they are surviving. I don't know why. I mean, I think a lot of shops, a lot of retail already gone. Yeah, and they're still there. But I think when we come out of this in 2022, I think next year is going to be an exact repeat of this year, sadly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, really sad. But I think that is going to put so much pressure on the finances of companies. They're just going to go bankrupt. And that is something the government has to take some responsibility. And that's why I think UBI, Universal Basic Income, is a potential solution. You've got to do something. You've got to put money back in the system, for the economy to go around. So I think all of these things that we're reading about now, that were 5 years ago when they were written, probably some of them, were a bit sort of sci-fi, a bit futuristic. I mean, now is yesterday. It's already done. I mean, the biggest shock I had was the beginning of this year, like in January, I was reading something about driverless cars. And I pressed a YouTube video, and I was blown away. I mean, you could go into a shop today and buy a driverless car. I thought this was still 50 years away. I thought they were still talking about it. They're actually making them already. Yeah, and that's the speed with which things are moving now. And I think that will accelerate. Yeah, I mean, you look at smartphones. I came to Indonesia in 2004 with a telephone. I could phone my mummy. I could put some addresses in the memory. And then BlackBerry came along in about 2008, and wow, what a change. Yeah. And then BlackBerry disappeared and was replaced with Android smartphones. Yeah. And that's so fast. Yeah. It keeps moving so quickly. And I find it difficult to keep up. I mean, I find it very difficult to keep up with Microsoft because they keep, rebranding and they keep adding new layers and, and new products and merging products. They now link together. I just haven't had the time, or I haven't devoted the time because I don't need to. I'm retired. I don't need to. But now I find I do need to. Yeah. Because you're doing things. I mean, like I was judging a podcast contest at Venus, and the scoring sheet was a Google form. I've never used Google form in my life. And I'm now having to do it under pressure because they need the results quickly. Yeah. So, you're learning on the go. And I think, this is the way forward. Yeah. And I think for a lot of old people, they need to be brought in because otherwise they will get very, very paranoid that they're being excluded from what's going on.
Because of the fast change, right? I mean, the change is pretty fast, especially moving backward to 10 years ago. I think it's very, in terms of, especially in technology, like 10 years ago, there was no smartphone, and then the AI was not as was not as good as nowadays. So then we have to prepare for that kind of change. Oh, hello. I saw. Is that your son? Oh,
Okay, thank you. Yes, would you like to share your favorite book this year? What is it?
my favorite book this year, we read it together. It's Range, and I put it up there in my bookshelves because it uh, gave me like optimism towards what I'm currently doing, because I changing from my previous study in the associate degree towards now, and I used to think that it won't be as useful as what I thought it was gonna be, but then when I read Range, I believe that it's possible and it's okay to be generalist. So yeah, I keep it then as my go-to book. Like every usually end of every month, I just rediscover the post-it that I put on the book. So yeah, that's one of my favorite for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dias. And next, Rizka, would you like to share? Because I think last month you didn't get a chance, right?
Yeah, because I was on my way from Jakarta to Bandung. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Matt, I think you're in afternoon or nighttime there.
No, I'm in Surabaya.
Oh, you're in Surabaya. Okay, so good day to you.
Yeah,
Good to meet you.
good afternoon.
Okay, so what I'm going to share, this is a book by Jia Jiang. It's called Rejection Proof. It basically tells a story about his personal experience to deliberately getting rejected on requesting very silly things. And it's actually already posted on TEDx. I will share later on the link. It's very funny because it's very funny and also encouraging because like he started out by sharing his background, his backstory, where on teenage time back in when he was in China, he declared to his parents, "I will be the next Bill Gates." And fast forward when he's already married, and then he will having his daughter. He's working in a Fortune 500 company, but he's not happy. and he's very get burdened with it because throughout the year he doesn't even try to do or being an entrepreneur. So so the story basically starts from there, from that moment where he then being challenged by his wife saying, okay, I'll give you 6 months to quit your job and then do what you want to do with entrepreneurship. After that, and then you just go back to corporate life. And so his first rejection one is when he asked his boss for resigning from the company, and he tells his story very vividly. Well, he's going knocking on his boss' door, and then he's filling up with this thought where I might get rejected because if I being resigned. And then when he actually asked his boss, she just said, "Oh my God, what will I do with the next thing, the next training that you're going to have and this and this?" So that's one of the moment when he finally realized, oh, so she actually don't care about me. So I feel rejected out of nothing. So by then he started this 100 days journey inspired by also like a social experiment by others. Well, where the first on the first day he's confused, and what the first thing he do is day one he asked $100 from his security guard in his apartment. He's asking, and the security just mentioned why, and he ran away. So so it's just silly, and he's posting it on his YouTube. And the second day he asked for a burger refill, and he's also being got rejected. And the third day challenge where everything's got rolling back when he asked this Krispy Kreme to make a donut who looks like an Olympic symbol. And it's very interesting because he totally get it. Okay, she might not going to do it, but she did, and it makes him encouraged. So, oh, okay, I can ask a lot of silly things, and by recording all of his reaction, he got like experience. Oh, okay, this is so. How can he do better after the rejection process? Yeah, I think Mbak Pipit knows it because it's on the TEDx. So throughout his journey, he also mentioned what he learned. For example, like what I remember is after we are rejected, most of us are scared and just run away. The best thing for you is basically just to stand, just be there, and next is just asking why are you rejecting my request or our request, and then try to do it forwardly. So why I choose this book basically because before this book I don't really think that I have like rejection phobia, but when I read it I was like, oh, okay, I feel the same way as Jia Jiang, and I kind of like after I finished with the book, I made my day one rejection thing. So I mailed to this K-pop management for like saying that I want to be talking to one of his idol, and then voila. Actually, I got rejected because the email is bouncing back because that email isn't exist. I was laughing all night and it's like, oh my God, that is so silly. But by doing that, I'm reminded that I can actually do it. I mean, I can practice doing something that I think I will reject it, and then see how it goes. And so this book's also something that reminds me just last night, just yesterday, where someone actually posting, giving me WhatsApp message as transferring money. I know him, that person. So I say okay. But when I asking more about it, and he's asking a lot of money, like 500,000. So I was like, why are you asking me? And then throughout the message, I noticed that he's very suspicious, and I was like, okay, no. And I got blocked it when I asked his superior about it, and the superior say, no, no, that's not him. And I was be manipulated with money. So yeah, I think this book is going to be something that I will look again and actually trying to practice in my life and see how I can get proof rejected no proof rejection of my own. So yeah, so that's my book. Thank you very much. I think I speak too much.
Thank you. That sounds like expanding comfort zone to me. Maybe.
Mhm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any question from anybody?
I got chills when I heard the handle rejection. It's very only the brave one can handle rejection, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. What's interesting is this book basically walk you through the whole process, and he very vivid. I mean, naturally sharing what he's thought, what the situation is, and it makes you think it's like, I think I want to try it too and see how I go. So I think I recommend this book really. I really recommend this book. So you should try it. I mean, small things, because he started out from very small things, and then and one of the challenges, he actually asked for flying an airplane, and he is I mean, he got it, not like a commercial flight, but the one who is he asking to is someone is a pilot who's having his own a single engine flight, and so
Mm.
he's that experience. And he mentioned, if I didn't have that courage to asking, even just asking, he wouldn't have that experience.
Mm.
So it's very interesting, but not day one, not day two, like day about 50s or 60s. So he went through all the 100 days of rejection. Yes.
So he aimed for one rejection per day or what?
Yes. One particularly one rejection per day.
For
And
100
all
days.
of his it's it's I will share the I will share the link of the TEDx. I will share his challenge, and so you will see it directly, what his all of his very strange, unique, and you can make laugh challenges that he imposed to himself. It's
On
very
the
interesting.
contrary, I'm a contrarian, so I can imagine it would be a really bother for other people though. Like sometimes, you ask something out of ordinary. Maybe there are people who simplistically said no, but there are
Yes.
actually people who will work really hard to fulfill your request, and this is
Yes.
just for your personal training to be rejected, right? Like for example, that the donuts Olympiad was because, well, although it's only for a few minutes, but this is out of ordinary. The person has to find the matching circles, the color, and what. So this is actually taking time out of somebody else who is working. So that's the other side. That's why after that incident, the person actually felt bad. So then they have a GoFundMe for that, for that employee of Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah.
to make
Yeah.
up for the time lost.
Yeah. You mentioned very correctly, Mbak Pipit. So throughout the days, I forgot. There's one day when he basically looked for being rejected. So there's, because he's in America, and there's the tale about apples, where the Snow White and the evil mom, And so people will like symbolize giving up, receiving something from strangers, especially food, will be rejected. So he start this project of going in, standing in like a parking lot, and where he give apple to people, and he counted down. This is the three people are rejecting the given, this one who's receiving, and sharing his experience. So basically, he actually challenging himself by requesting something that will be rejected. But funny thing is, because he got used to it, he's not really feel bad about it. And like at the end of the day, what he concludes to himself is that being rejected is not about us, it's about the situation of other people's. So you don't have to feel bad about yourself by asking something and get rejected because of it. So yeah, it's very interesting.
Cool. I have a question for you real quick as well. Does the book at all talk about like sales? Because oftentimes in sales, you have to go out and ask people, right? Especially if you're doing one-on-one interactions with people.
Yes. Yeah, he also mentioned something about that. Wait, I I forgot. Basically, I forgot whether he make a challenge on the about sales, but throughout the book, the challenges is like selling himself to the public with his bizarre request. And in a way, oh yeah, in a way he remind that there's a limit to rejection, or there's a limit of saying no. So you just have to do it more. Then, for example, if you're like selling something to one person, try it just not one time, try it like 10 times. And if it's still rejected and you don't want to do it with that person, so just quit and do it on other things. But there's also a way where you get to like adjusting your strategy. Like if you consider what you're offering, and then maybe your 10 rejection with that person is not appropriate. For example, he doesn't really want it. And so you can move on to other things. So yeah, yes. Oh, I thought I forgot about the book, but I actually remember. Yes. So I think, yeah, anything else want to ask?
Yeah, maybe you can share your favorite book in 2020.
Okay, I was just checking my any books and see what my favorite book is. But I think one book that inspired me, like, wait, let me see the title. Evil Plans, Having Fun on the Road to World Domination by Hugh MacLeod. It's a very, I find it very intriguing, because the book is consists of like short discussion, and then like a caricature that the author write at the back of a business card. So he actually is an advertiser. He works in advertisement all of his life, and then he then like switch. He then like, I don't want to do this every till I pension. I want to do something else. I want people to come to me. And then he finally make a blog, and then I also will share his book. So what I find very interesting about this book, because first, a lot of books that I read throughout the year all consist of words, and this is a few of the books that consist of pictures, and we tend to remember pictures more. Like picture says 1,000 words. So I think by having this as book, and I can come back again, it's like just a simple reminder. And the idea of evil plan for world domination
it's not very common. It's very unordinary. So I feel it's more me. Thank you. So that's it for me.
It's evil plan having fun on the road to world domination, right?
Yes, I will wait
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
on our group for the book.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for the time.
Hey everyone, I'm gonna get going now. I have a meeting to get to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
So
Thank you,
I want to
Matt.
wish
Wait. Photo. Give me a second.
a happy new
Eh?
year.
Sorry, I almost screamed just now.
Holiday.
Okay, one. Oh, bring your
Sure.
book, guys.
Sure. I
Wait
can
a
hold up
second.
my book.
Ya ini aja lah. Wait.
Come on, Donald. Double speed donut. Donut. I call it. 1, 2. Got it. See you next time, Matt.
See you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Matt.
Matt. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Really good to see you, everyone, again. Yeah.
Happy New
Bye.
Year.
Happy
Bye.
New Year.
Happy New Year.
Ah ya.
Okay. Thank you. Now, Edo, would you like to share your book?
Uh,
Sorry. Share about your situation first. Update about you.
Oh.
Yeah, what you
Okay,
work.
I'm
something
sorry.
like that.
Ah ya.
I'm sorry I've been not meeting with you for 4 months. Like it's not easy for me to get a Saturday off lately. Yeah, I currently working as an automation engineer here in a company, in a manufacturing company that manufacture electronic stuff in your car and in your appliance
It's when
In Surabaya, Edo?
in
Batam.
Batam.
Oh, Batam. Okay. It's really amazing, guys. Big applause for Edo because this is 2020, the year of a lot of people losing jobs, but Edo managed to secure a job.
Thank you.
Edo is our robotics master.
Yes, it's so foolish for a company turning him down, obviously, right?
Since when, Edo? Since when?
Uh,
How long?
Since February.
Okay. So on
March.
Saturday,
Sorry, since March.
oh, since March. Wow, the beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So all is well there.
Yeah.
How?
All is,
No wonder he's getting chubbier. Now he has a lot of money.
yeah. Because of this pandemic, everybody gained some.
But Saturday is not off or off usually.
It's usually it's actually off, but most of the time got some engagement also to attend the Saturday and Saturday. But it's normally off. But
Yeah.
sometimes I cannot get Saturday off.
Okay, good. Thanks for the update. Would you like to share about the book?
Now this is the book that I want to share. Oh, I'm sorry. The title is Innovator: How a Group of Hackers, Genius, and Geeks Created the Digital Revolution by Walter Isaacson. So this book actually has been sitting on my shelf since last year. But what is good about this book is a story about some kind of biography of several people, about people behind digital revolution. So what's good about book about the past is that it's never too late to read it. This book take about the story from the first conception of computer, and then to the development of all the hardware and software, and until today, where we know that personal computing have been gained the place in our life, in almost every life. But besides the story about the computer development, maybe the technical part, you may think that it's boring for many people, that is not actually interesting with this kind of technology. But what is good about this book is not only the author share about this story, but also the different perspective of how people collaborate to develop the breakthrough, the innovation behind this wonderful technology. What I like about this book is that the author put emphasis on collaboration work above individual work, because this day we are no longer live in the era of a lone inventor developing their stuff, they building something that is breakthrough in their basement, but we are there in a lab full of people with different backgrounds. There is also a story about how the Bell Labs, the laboratorium that invented the transistor, there they are actually designed the building so every person in that company, be it a professor, a material scientist, an engineer, even a pole climber, can meet in their building. They daily face each other. So that is how to spark innovation idea, because different of people from different of background, different of field can complement each other. There is also a different perspective that I read in this book about the people. The author tell the story about the the people behind in this book from the childhood, like where they grew up and what they do in their in their high school era, and then what is their daily activity before they are become someone that is proponent in the development of the technology. And from all the story, I can conclude that everyone behind this revolution, everyone here possess what I call the quality of a grit, about how they actually, people that invent stuff behind this digital revolution actually love what they are doing since earlier in their childhood. Either they are start by building a amateur radio and stuff in their childhood, and then develop their passion in technology, in electronics and stuff, and then they somehow become the inventor of the internet or something. And also the book tells about the story tells us that it is important to be in a team where we use the words I less and use more the words of we. So we better not to claim credit for individual. Everybody loves to be called the inventor of something, the father of something, but to make a breakthrough, we need to work collaboratively in a team where we don't possess some quality as a narcissistic or egoistical, that kind of stuff. And then yes, true, we instead of I. Yeah. And then it ended with something like become a debatable about where this kind of technology come into the future. There is a two side about the proprietary versus the open source. The open source where the technology is open for every person, for every people in this planet to develop further, or the proprietary where the financial incentive might also spark the future development. There is open to debate. Okay. I think that is what I can share about my book.
Thank you, Ido. Any question? I have a question for Ido. Who is your favorite inventor from the book?
My favorite inventor, actually not the kind of inventor that directly invents stuff, but it is Vannevar Bush. Vannevar Bush is the one that conceptual the internet, the personal computer in the 40s. It's a conception,
Wait,
but
Vannevar
not
Bush?
yeah,
Oh
Vannevar
yeah,
Bush.
yeah, yeah. Vannevar Bush is mentioned here too. Yeah,
Oh,
I will talk about him later. He's
okay.
in the military, right? Military
Yeah,
as well. Okay.
yeah. he participated in the development of the first computer, and then also conceptual all that we have right now, like internet, like remote teleconference, and like personal computer and stuff.
And bombs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any question?
So what is the thing that you can apply the most from this book in your daily life or your work right now?
I think it's about the team building, because I work in a small team of people that, and also press to create an innovation. So by reading this book, I learned more about how to have a good team that will lead to an innovation. And the requirement is that we need to relegate the individual narcissism, and being more of we, that use more of we than I, and also the and what I get, what I like, what saying that I like is that never compete with someone you are working with, or never compete with someone working for you. That is kind of stuff.
That is actually deep because there are sometimes people who feel threatened with their subordinates.
Yeah.
Right?
But there is I don't know, it intrigues because Richard Branson was challenged by Tony when Tony came up with the idea. I want to make a low cost airline too. Uh, I want to bring this concept in Asia. That's what he said to his boss, because he previously worked for Richard Branson, but as his VP of finance. And then Richard Branson wasn't intimidated by him, and instead he said, "Okay, go on. You have my wish. You have your." I mean, he wishes Tony the very best of luck. And then the first year of when the company established, um, they compare the sales. They compare the ticket sales, and they compare the accolades, and turns out AirAsia won comparing to Virgin. And then their bet was, you have to be the flight attendant for one day. So Richard Branson lost. Then he dressed up like the Virgin Atlantic flight attendant. And you can browse you can browse the picture, and he didn't shave. He didn't shave the legs, but but using the mini skirts and stuff. So he was he was the one who serves to the press, to the medias, the one who got invited to be on board. So yeah, it's the I think it's the matter of whether the people like to be challenged or not. It doesn't mean that you cannot really compete, because in that case they were on a competition, but all of them allowed. I mean, both both of them allowed to be competed by each other, and it's a healthy competition. So for me, maybe the word competing with each other, is not the right words to say, but um when the two parties agreed, I think it's not a problem. I think, Edo. because in that special case, both of them agree that okay, we can compete with each other. And maybe because the area of their business is very different. The Virgin is in Europe, and the AirAsia is in Asia. So um it's not a direct competition as well, but but Tony did mention that he got his idea from working in Virgin.
I mean,
You're so
same
confused.
sort of problem, well, not problem, but same opportunity with FedEx and UPS in the 1980s. where UPS was extremely rich, had been around since the 1907 as a ground carrier in the US, was huge. Most Americans thought UPS was the second part of the American Postal Service. And FedEx came along in the 80s, and the managers there were really a breakaway. I mean, they weren't UPSers, but they were trying to get away from the UPS philosophy of, you know, everything on the ground. And they were the ones that introduced the flight element to package tracking, et cetera, et cetera. And then UPS looked around and thought, what the hell's going on here? We better get into it. And they had deep pockets, they had a lot of money, and they set up their own airline. And when I was there during the 90s, we were the ninth largest airline in the world. But nobody knew that because it was cargo only. And that was, I mean, it was a fascinating experience being there. And then, you know, competing in Europe in the 90s, it was very competitive. And DHL was the small company that UPS nearly bought in 1989, and DHL ran away. And then they got involved with Deutsche Post, German Post Office, and Lufthansa. And what they were doing in Germany was really phenomenal. They would take the passenger flights, which were basically daytime loaded. Yeah, so not many people were flying at night. And they would put sheets over all of the chairs and fill up to the ceiling with packages and fly it as a cargo flight during the night. And then in the morning at 6 o'clock, they would take the sheets away, vacuum, and put people in again. And we thought, wow, what a smart idea. So we thought, wow, the problem is we only have cargo flights. So we thought, maybe we do it in reverse. We used to put chairs in at the weekends, and we became a cheap bucket shop tourist carrier and gave up. It just wasn't worth the effort. Yeah, and we didn't need the money. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, having that competition going is really good. It develops you. And I'd say FedEx really kicked UPS into the 20th century, and then they got really into it again. Yeah, so they needed to do that. Yeah, otherwise they could have gone like Kodak, you know, out of business in a flash. So it's good to have competition. Yeah, I don't think it's bad, even though you are very competitive, very competitive. Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun.
Thank you. Edo, would you like to share your favorite book in 2020?
About my favorite book, actually, it's Range, the book that we read before. Yeah, it became the framework of how I will develop myself in the future. I love that book.
Same as Diaz then.
Yeah, same as yes.
Okay, Pipit, would you like to share next?
So my favorite book this month, oh, not favorite book this month, what I want to present this month is Nudge. So Nudge is the older brother of Misbehaving. Misbehaving. We read Misbehaving a few months ago, and this came out before Misbehaving by the same writer. But if you notice, the rating for this book is not as good as this one. And I actually agree. I was not that enthralled by it. And I recently realized that Richard H. Taylor was not the main author here. So it's almost like his name was borrowed to write this book. So the main writers actually Cass Sunstein, and Richard would just give the input. Like, I think the idea should be like this, blah, blah, blah. That's why the writing style is very different from Misbehaving. It took me a while to finish this because the main ideas is only in the first 3 chapters. The rest of the chapters is the examples, basically how these ideas are applicable in daily life or all around the world. So, well, not all around the world, because a lot of the examples are actually from America, Americanized. Okay, so what I learned from Nudge is the best form of persuasion is by nudge. So what they say, what they call as nudge is our ability to persuade other people, but they don't realize it. So we have strategies to kind of manipulate the store setting, manipulate a building, or manipulate a certain policy that will lead people to do certain things or to let them to choose a certain way, but they don't even realize it. So this is the ultimate strategy to do a persuasion, right? And then uh, actually it takes advantage of people's irrationality, and we have learned about irrationality in this behaving. And I think the part about irrationality was not explained really well here in this book, why people somehow bought into these strategies. And the reason why I understood it, because I read misbehaving before. So I feel bad for those people who only read this book, because I can imagine there were some areas of unclearness, of area of vagueness without explanation. And also but this book is also important because particularly for those people who have the authority to make decisions, for a lot of people this book is really important. Because for example, if you can what is it, put a certain order in a canteen in school, for example, then you can persuade children to eat more healthier than eating candies or ice cream, things like that, just by changing the layout, for example. For example, the famous example is putting something in the eye level actually make people grab it even more. So there was a record example of children in school grab carrot sticks more frequently than dessert, just only because the carrot was put in their eye level. So from then on, okay, let's just put it this way all the time. Or for example, they also put an extra line if you want to get ice cream, for example. And a lot of children actually decided to give up on the ice cream because they cannot wait to play outside and they don't want to be on another line just for the ice cream for them. So this is like mini strategies how to manipulate people's decision. However, the skill also needs to be learned by everyone, so we know exactly what our choices are and how we exercise our options, our decision. So we know when there are people trying to manipulate our decisions, we realize it, because knowing the problem is half of the solution. So if we realize that these strategies are out there, then we are more aware of it and think twice first before, oh yeah, okay, discount. Wait a second, something like that. Or the famous example is also when they promote a certain products as a huge discount. Usually that's not actually the cheapest possible option. So say cooking oil 25,000 discount, blah blah blah, that means there's other item actually cheaper than that, but they just distract you from the cheapest possible item. So, and that actually creates a lot of corruption in the business, because a lot of like companies pay more to get their products put in the eye level shelves in the supermarket. So a lot of managers actually was proven to take bribes from companies so they can arrange their products on the eye level. But it's really important for people who make public policies too, because a lot of examples of policies where it works makes people litter a lot less in their daily lives and things like that. And then, and it's dangerous in the hands of people who have bad intentions, of course. So I tend to rate a book, right? The only reason I give it a 4, it's almost like 3.5 actually, because I like stories. I like stories. So a lot of this from chapter 4 until chapter 15, it's all stories of how these principles are actually applicable in daily life. So that is my book this month.
Thank you. Great. Yeah, Mike, you would like to comment?
Well, Not really. I think there's so many things to talk about. Yeah, I think the world is in turmoil. Yeah, I think, I mean, while you were saying, in a way, manipulation, of children's eating habits, I mean, it's much more sinister than that. And I think if you really look at the American election at the moment, it is frightening, absolutely frightening. And when you dig deep, it is, I mean, to me, it's very obvious, that the Russians have been manipulating Facebook, etc., etc. I watched a video of Malcolm Nance, who was a CIA chief. He was a middle rank manager, but he was. I mean, basically, as a spy. But he wrote that book 2 years ago, and it is exactly, virtually word for word for what's happening with the current election, where it's being manipulated, and nobody knows that it's being manipulated. Yeah, I mean, you've got the FBI, you've got the CIA looking supposedly at election manipulations. But when you have 70% of the Republicans, think that Trump should have been elected president, and 117 of the Congress, going to the Supreme Court to get the election voting annulled in 4 states because Texas decided that they wanted to complain about 4 other states, nothing to do with Texas. Yeah, and I mean, it's only just yesterday, it went to the Supreme Court, who kicked it out. And they've kicked out, not just the Supreme Court, but the American legal system has kicked out something getting on for 60 court cases brought by Trump and Giuliani and other lunatics in the Republican Party. And it is in your face. You can see what they're doing. Everybody knows what they're doing, but they still do it. And it's persuading the population. So, I mean, the next 4 years in America with Biden is going to be extremely, I think, dangerous, because half of the country are not for him. They're not supporting democracy. And that, I mean, you think, oh, just America, forget it. I mean, what happens in America, though, will affect us. And that's why I'm concerned, I think if America collapses and goes into civil war, which I think there's a good chance, to be honest, even at this late stage, I think Trump is so crazy and he has brainwashed so many people. I mean, this is mass hysteria in America, in the Republican Party, It is really scary. So I think all of these things that you're talking about, putting the carrots eye high for kids, is being used already in a much more sinister way. I mean, you had Cambridge Analytica, the UK company, there was sort of data dredging. They were sending out questionnaires to people, and on the response they were getting, analyzing what programs they were watching and what their comments on Facebook were able to develop a profile of that person, that individual. And all of us could be in that analysis, and we don't know it. So there's somebody somewhere in Moscow knows what we would think if a certain thing happened. And that is really scary, because you end up with a totalitarian state. And that's where Trump wants it to go. I mean, that's the way it was going. And if the Supreme Court had not rejected the complaint, it would probably have meant the college vote
Electoral
on
college.
Monday, would not have been held. And that will, that would, should, once that vote is taken on Monday next week, that should seal who is the president. I mean, that is the last legal remedy. And they've blown it. I mean, Supreme Court says, no way, this is out of, it's not logical. This has got no legal validity. So, there are some things there. I mean, this is really quite serious, and it's already now. And I think when you extrapolate that around the world, manipulating the population is so easy. It's so scary. My mother was German. I lived in Germany till I was 16. So I have a connection, affinity to Germany. And I obviously have read a lot about what Hitler was doing in the 1930s and obviously during the war. And I find it, I find it really unbelievable the Germans would go along with it. And I asked my mum, she was 18 at the end of the Second World War. And she said, well, we thought the Jews were going off to holiday camp, to work camp. I mean, they knew the Jews were being removed from their cities.
But that time the headspace of what's the German people's called? Volks what?
Volks is people.
Yeah.
Volkswagen is the people's
car. Volkswagen.
Yeah,
Volkswagen was that they just lost the war in World War I. They were so desperate to blame somebody for it. And they suddenly had a huge debt from the.
Well, they were after the
World War I.
It was the Treaty of Versailles, 1919, after First World War, where Germany was forbidden to have a military.
Yeah.
And they had to pay reparations. They had to pay a lot of money.
Yeah. So they were kind of angry. So it's kind of
course they were angry.
Of
course they were angry. Yeah.
That huge anger turned into.
Well, Hitler was able to manipulate that. He was able to use that.
Yeah. So
Hitler was a bombardier, in the army. He was nobody in the First World War. He was shot, but he was nobody. I mean, he was just a squaddy. And in the 1920s, he became politically active, basically because he couldn't get a job. He wanted to be an artist, painting pictures, and the art schools in Austria would not allow him. Yeah, so he was a very angry person. Yeah, and he then got into politics and set up the Nazi Party. And by luck, really by luck, he ended up as the chancellor, the top guy, because Hindenburg, his predecessor, died. So Hitler was the...
if I can refer back to this book, it's somebody's headspace is really vulnerable to manipulation. So somebody who is in love, somebody who is angry, somebody with intense emotion is the most, is the easiest target for manipulation. So that's also the reason why when you're angry or you're in love or when you're
emotional,
extremely happy, don't go shopping, for example. Or don't make huge important decisions when you are doing experiencing intense emotion. And I forgot to mention, I think that was funny thing. Usually in the airport, the spillage from the toilet is kind of too much.
Overflow.
Yeah, so it was a lot of work for the people, just too much annoying. And they somehow found the solution to this problem. They actually, in Netherlands, they drew a fly in the toilet.
Yeah.
Right? So
that was in the guy's urinal.
Yeah, unconsciously, the guy's aiming at this fly. And that reduced the spillage by 80%. That actually is a lot of money in the cleaning products.
Yeah.
And the reduced hours to clean them.
And you had a good facility.
So even that simple.
Yeah. I mean, the other one, that's sort of quoted quite often in books is the hand towels in bathrooms in hotels. Yeah, I mean, where, people rub their hands once and throw it on the floor. Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do that at home. Yeah, you would keep it for 3-4 days or a week or whatever. Yeah, in a hotel, I'll get a new one. Yeah, there's 3 more on the wall. And what they did, they changed the wording rather than please recycle your towel, is 90% of the guests in this hotel recycle their towel. And the number of people then that were extra recycling went up hugely. Yeah, so it's the way you word it, is different. Yeah, and you can manipulate. I mean, the other one that's quite interesting, I think, is the mint, a chewy mint, sweet. When you pay your bill and you get, the black credit card cover with the bill inside, and if they put 1 mint in there as a thank you, you get like 5% tip. put 2 mints in there, you get 10% tip. Put 3 in there, you get 25% tip. And it's manipulating, the customer. Yeah, with nothing, I mean, the value of these sweets is 0. Yeah, but it's the thought. Yeah, you are worth 3 mints. I mean, it's crazy.
Like put you on a mission to do something.
Yeah.
I received that kind of training back when I was working in a hotel. Like, for example, if a guest pay you in cash, like for example, in 100 Rial Oman, because the currency is Rial Oman, 100 Rial Oman, and then the total bill is like 70 something, and then they change, let's say 27 Rial Oman. We are not allowed to give the exchange by 10 5 and then 1 1, so it's equals to 27. Instead, we should give 5 5 5 5 5 5, and then 2 of 1 Rial Oman. That way it will be easier for them to give the tips, because they have like 5.
Yes, small change.
They have 5 5 or 5 Rial Oman, and then they will take, okay, I'll just give this 5 to them, and then I take 17 with me. So then I get 10 Rial Oman for the restaurant tip. Instead of giving like 10 10 5 and then 2, they will probably just take the 25 and then gave the 2 Rial Oman, something like that. And then
DS, have you tried doing that here with Grab?
No.
No. But that's called removing the barrier.
Yeah.
That's called removing the barrier. So in the
You're
book,
guiding
because
people.
a lot of people want to do it, but they have the barrier. Oh, I don't have 5 Rial. Now you give them, remove the barrier. You remove the barrier for them. Here, 5. Then they just give it to you.
And then for the, especially for the discounted, we are every before we begin our shift, the manager of the restaurant told us, so guys, today please upsell this menu. Then he will mention like 2 or 3, and then when the restaurant is open, we have to tell the guests, so would you like to have this? We have 1 2 3, the 3 items that he mentioned from the briefing. And that way, oh, what's that? Then most probably it's like 90% of from what I encountered, they will order that one. Instead of they just looking. And then most people, no matter they like to read or not, most people, they are very lazy to even read the ingredients of the menu. So it's really up to the one who work in the restaurant to make the upsell. So I think I read it also, the nudge, but the one in translated version, and I got a deja vu from my.
I've been already doing that.
Oh, this is the theory. I only know the
You knew the theory, but now you know the name.
No.
It's like never split the difference.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Pipit, would you like to share your favorite book in 2020?
Yes, I really love Moonshot.
She already.
Oh my god! Please read this. But everyone have different interpretations of Moonshot. Some people don't really like it, but I really love this book. Actually, Edo, this book also has Vannevar Bush story, and because of this book, I searched more about him, because this book painted Vannevar Bush like a prophet, like. Wow, this type of guy. And also there's another guy called Bale. So basically, Loonshots is how innovations have to suffer a lot of stages, basically. If your ideas haven't been killed at least 3 times, it's not good enough. And a lot of innovations takes a lot of heartbreaks. I have mentioned this last month, right? The person almost killed himself, losing jobs, and a lot of people mock him. Turned out 7 years later, then people knew that he was actually right. But not only that, this book also show you there are innovations doesn't have to be a sweep through change, doesn't have to be a breakthrough. There are 2 types of innovation. S type and P type. So the P type is the one that totally introduced a new technology that suddenly make other technologies obsolete, right? For example, atomic bomb. After the atomic bomb is found, like, okay, there's no competition of atomic bomb. Basically, you cannot find other weapons more, what is it called? More powerful.
More deadly, yeah, more deadly, yeah.
Yeah. You can only tweak it, modify it, put it in a what is it called? Put it in the submarine or put it in the drones or whatever, right? But basically, it's still atomic bomb. There's also other type of innovation which is called the S type. S type is the strategies. Sometimes innovations can be in the form of strategies. For example, Pan Am used to be the biggest airline in the United States, even in the world at that time, but they kind of collapsed only because their competitions find out about the S innovation. It's only the strategy in booking for the tickets. So that time, Pan Am focused more on the technology about their planes. They tried as much as they can to build the fanciest plane, the biggest plane, the long distance plane, something like that. Turned out what the people wanted was not that type of plane. They wanted innovation in the booking system. They wanted the easiness to pay. They want the easiest layout to choose the flight, things like that. And then other airlines figured that out and they kind of surpassed Pan Am. So we do not have to be technologically oriented or three-dimensionally oriented. We can also make innovation in terms of strategies. And last but not least, this book, the boring part, I think hard to get through it, is about how to nurture moonshots even in a big organization. So sometimes innovations only happen in small companies because everyone is so motivated. Everyone, wants to make it for themselves almost. But after they become big, they become stagnate, like no innovations after that. So this book also teaches, not teaches, inspire people how to avoid stagnancy after certain companies become so big. So that's why I really love this book, and I read it just in 3 days. So I
Wow,
really love it.
exciting.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
Turner.
it.
Motivation.
Thank you, Pipit. Mike, would you like to share your book?
Me, not really, but I'll share. I'll share. As you probably have gathered, I'm at the moment not in the phase of reading serious books. Yeah, that was part of my earlier upbringing. Now I'm reading for fun. And purely by accident, I wasn't aiming to do it, but I chose A Christmas Carol as the theme for Toastmasters, British Toastmaster meeting next Friday by Charles Dickens. So I thought, oh, let me go read up a little bit about Dickens, yeah, get the dates and whatever. So I did, and I stumbled across a page of all of his novels that you can download for free. Yeah, I mean, these were all written 1830s, he died 1870. But really why I bring him up is the thing that I found really fascinating. His novels, yeah, and he died in 1870, have never been out of print. Yeah, people are still buying the book. They're still printing the book. And my recommendation, yeah, end of year, give yourself a break, have a holiday, have a coffee and a Kit Kat, and go read some Charles Dickens. He's fun. I mean, he really is. Yeah, I mean, he writes really well. It's a little bit dated, but again, I think, I mean, I'm going to, physically, I want to go read through all of them. Yeah, War and Peace, Tolstoy. Yeah, and it's so thin. I mean, that's part one, yeah? I mean, the other one is Peace and War, part two. But no, it's, I think, give yourself a break every now and again and read something for pleasure, not for profit, so to speak. Yeah, so give yourself a break and enjoy it, yeah? And just let your mind go. I physically do plan to go read all of them. There's about 14 novels that he wrote. And really, one of the things I'm looking for is a correlation with that period, yeah, sort of 1830s, 1870s, and now. Yeah, I mean, you had at that time the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, and the chimneys, you know, the kids used to have to climb up because they were small enough to go and, you know, sweep the chimney from inside. Yeah, and really where we are at the moment. And again, I'd say, I think because of the COVID situation, there are going to be so many changes coming up in the future. And they're all going to be because of money. Everything comes to money and profit and, you know, reducing cost. And again, you know, you've got two similar things happening, you know, 150 years apart. But I think there may be some things to learn from, you know, the 1800s in the next 5-10 years. Yeah. So, but I'm doing it really for enjoyment. I mean, I love reading Dickens. Yeah, I mean, he's a nice, soporific. You know, you can have a cocoa and go to sleep. Yeah, after you've read a chapter or two. So if you like, I'll send you the link to the free novels. Yeah, just download them. But they're all good. So that's my choice. I'll try and do better next year and read some serious books.
Thank you, Mike.
No worries.
Donald, I missed it. Did you already share yours?
No, I put myself
okay.
last. Yeah. if we still have time.
We do 6 minutes.
Yeah. What is your favorite book in 2020, Mike? Could you share it?
Not really. I have too many. I was going to say dyslexic.
Vacancy thingy. That vacancy thingy.
Casual vacancy.
J.K. Rowling. The best book 2012, but Mike could not even finish
the worst
it.
book in 2020 for me, anyway. For me, I maybe just I was in a bad mood, but I still haven't read any more of it. It's still there. So yeah, I think again, it's best book for what reason? Yeah, and I'm now really getting into the stage where I want to do entertainment reading. I'm doing it for pleasure, not because I really want to write a thesis about anything significant. Yeah, so no, I haven't picked a particular theme.
Then write your book, Mike.
I know. I have a race.
One of
October 21.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have a partner in crime where we're going to do it separately but together.
Okay, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah,
But now, since we have
space.
5 minutes left, I think Donald should share his book.
Yep. Okay. So I'd like to share about the book that I'd like to share is titled Free to Focus by Michael Hyatt. It's a book about productivity, and the reason why I read it is because I want to be more productive. Obviously, want to make the most of my life, but productive in this case is not getting more done, because the book says that productivity is about getting the right things done, not necessarily being busy, but doing the right things. And some of the things that I learned, the takeaways from the book is we need to focus on our desire zone. So-called desire zone is the zone where we are both passionate and proficient. And then something that is interesting for me is there is time quadrant matrix, quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4, for things that are urgent and important. I think that is a famous quadrant from 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. But what's interesting for me is that the book mentions that quadrant 3, things that are urgent but not important, are actually things that are urgent or important for someone else, but not for us.
Yeah.
So that is something new to me. Oh, so that is important for them, but not for me. That's why it's quadrant 3. And the danger is that we spend too much time on those things and not on things that are actually important for ourselves. So that's something that I learned. Okay, so I need to make sure that I put my priorities right and not just serving someone else's priority in this case. So that's one thing that I learned. And for my favorite book this year is actually it's quite difficult because I believe every book has its own lessons to learn from. But if I need to choose one, I will choose Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke. She was a poker player, and the book is actually about decision making. And why I'm interested in that book is because when I watched an interview with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in 2007, Bill Gates mentioned, we bet, I bet multiple times. So I think many successful people, they make decisions using this bet mindset. And this book explains that how to make good decisions in the long term, thinking in probabilities, that kind of thing. So it's a good book for me for decision making. All right, so that's from me.
Donald, what is the tips from free to focus? How to work less and more results? What is the number one tips from this book?
I think it's different from every person, but for me, it says that the goal of productivity is freedom. It is not producing more, but freedom. And there are 4 definitions of freedom from him. It is freedom to, wait, let me see. It's freedom to focus, to do things without distraction, and then to be present. If we do something, we can actually put our mind fully on that and not being distracted with something else. And then spontaneous, if we have something new coming to our plate, we can act on it right away and then do nothing. So that's how he defined freedom, and I agree. And that is the goal of productivity. All right. Yep. So, okay, Bibit.
It reminds me a lot of other books, yeah. There are so many other books about how to increase your productivity with less effort, but I think this is the first time I heard the term of productivity. It doesn't have to be the outcome, but actually it's the freedom. So this is I think the one that is new in my experience.
Okay, so I think everyone has shared their books. This is the last meeting this year. And again, from the beginning, I'd like to share again the slide from the beginning. With the screen. So our motto here is cultivating the passion for lifelong learning. It has been a year, how to say it? It's an unusual year with the COVID and anything, but we have actually something good about this because we can have like Dias from Jakarta, right? And Mike, and I think Rizka, Edo in Batam, we can meet together like this because if we did it the old way, with physical meeting, we cannot do this. So there are opportunities behind challenges. And I hope next year we can continue with the mission here. We can cultivate the passion for lifelong learning. Anyone else here would like to share something before we close the meeting?
Just the title of your book, Donald, because I really would like to learn also
Free
about
to
the
focus,
freedom.
darling.
No. No, I mean the link. Usually you
It's
share
there
something.
in the chat box.
Really? I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Bibit.
Already. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for contributing to Book Brewers. Because of course we don't have employees. Everyone here is here because they want to, right? And I hope we continue push each other to be productive and read some more, especially for Mike because he did not read anything last
I
few
read
months.
lots of books, but not the sort that you want to know about.
Okay. So the next meeting will be 9th of January.
Okay.
So see you next
I mean,
year.
look forward to have fun.
Group picture.
I have taken the group photo.
Picture already. Okay.
Mike was there.
Oh, Mike wasn't there? Okay, yeah,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Photo
Oh.
again.
Okay.
What? Oh, again, book.
Risk a
I'll
look.
put my
Look,
War and Peace. This is my winter holiday book.
your winter holiday book.
Yeah, do,
1, 2. Okay.
Done.
Okay, bye everyone.
okay, thank
See
you
you soon.
Bye
everybody.
bye. Thank
Enjoy
you.
Happy New
yourself
Year.
today. Bye.